Hello, my name is Kaylee Kimball, and on behalf of John Paul Mitchell Systems and BSG, I'm going to be bringing you the Fernanda haircut by Takashi and Seriously Smooth by Stephanie Kachowski. I'm going to be doing this with my Paul Mitchell Pro Tools and products. This is my guest Colleen, and Colleen recently just became a mom and doesn't have a lot of extra time for herself. So I'm going to be giving her the Fernanda haircut, which is going to keep her length for those run out the door days, but it's going to leave some movement to her hair for those occasional date nights. I'm also going to make sure that Colleen's using the proper products and tools at home so that she can reduce her drying and styling time so she has more time for her daughter. And Colleen's going to absolutely love her haircut and style so much, she's going to tell all of her friends about it. How am I going to fit all of these new guests in my chair, you ask? Well, in my salon, I personally use these products and tools, and it cuts down on my drying and styling time so I can fit 1 or 2 more guests in my chair. Let's work smarter, not harder. So the more guests we get in our chair, the more money we have in our pocket. So not only am I going to be giving you a salon-friendly haircut, the Fernanda, I'm also going to be giving you more guests per day by cutting down on your styling and drying time. And since Colleen's friends love their products and tools so much, your retail sales as well are going to be going up. So let's go ahead and get started. I began my journey today at the wash house. At the wash house, I go ahead and shampoo Colleen's hair with the Instant Moisture Daily Shampoo. The Instant Moisture Daily Shampoo is going to hydrate thirsty hair, but it's also going to pump up thin strands. It has our moisture complex in it, which is going to help with superior conditioning and UV protectant, and panthenol that's going to help plump the hair and condition and repair the hair from the inside out, leaving the hair protected from the sun. And then also I went in after I towel dried that with our supercharged moisturizer. The supercharged moisturizer is a weekly treatment. It can be left on the hair for about 3 to 5 minutes. This is going to deliver an intense dose of moisture, leaving the hair hydrated. It has our panthenol, soy protein, and also vitamin E to condition and soften the hair, making the hair look and feel healthier. Once I shampooed and conditioned my guest, I then brought her back to the chair. And we decided on the Fernanda haircut today, we're going to go ahead and section the haircut straight down the center. And this side's already been completed. I left the fringe out so I can show you. And I'm going to walk you through this side of the haircut. This side of the haircut, I actually stood in front of my guest and I took diagonal back sections. Doing that, I took the hair in the diagonal back sections and I dropped at the parietal ridge. And I'm going to slightly over direct this forward, bringing it straight up, my elbow up, and I'm going to have my fingers down. And I'm going to be cutting long to short. I did this all the way to the very back. Once I got to the back section of the hair, and I over directed each section to the previous section as well. When I got to the back of the hair, I actually turned my guess and I took this hair, dropping the length, bringing it up, cutting from shorter to longer, and making sure that I'm keeping the length. So now we're gonna go ahead and get started on this side of the haircut. I did already pre-cut the front of her hair. On this, I took a small section from behind the ear, brought that forward. I did a half moon shape for her bang area. And for the bang area, the half moon section, I brought that and I pinched it together. And taking my scissors, I actually took and I point cutted this out. So once I point cutted that out and I established my fringe, I then took this section from behind the ear and I did a sliding technique, angling it down and around her face. And I did leave her bangs wet just so that we can work from this side as well, and I can show you that angling technique. So on this side of her hair, and make sure you have the hair fully saturated. And we're going to be taking and standing behind Colleen on this side of her head. And I'm going to be taking a section, diagonal back, dropping at the parietal ridge, pulling it straight up from the head, slightly over directing forward. And we're going to be cutting short to long. And I'm actually going to take a little clue from the opposite side. So we'll go ahead and take right here. And we're going to do short to long. Making sure you're not cutting past that second knuckle if you need to readjust. Keeping your elbow up. Drop that little. So you're going to take this diagonal back. And you're going to actually over direct the next section, dropping at the parietal ridge so that you have the length. And you're going to slightly over direct it to the previous section. And we're going to be cutting short to long. Again, diagonal sections back. Making sure you're doing nice clean partings. Pulling this straight up, slightly over directing to the front, and cutting this short to long. Once I get towards the back of Colleen's head here, I'm actually going to move my body position. So do this one more section, short to long, slightly over directing it. And Colleen, actually, now that we get to the back of her head, we're going to be taking this section and standing more to the side of it, making sure that we're dropping the bottom, pulling it straight up as well, and doing short to long. Now that we've gotten that part of Colleen's haircut, we're actually going to look back here. Sometimes we get a little bit of a weight line. So we're going to be taking Colleen's hair. This side's already been cut, so we're going to push it out of the way. And we're going to be taking and pulling this straight up so that we can check and make sure there's no points in the hair. No heavy spots here. So I'm going to pull it straight out. Just a little point right there. Just because there's more hair back here, that's where we get a little bit more of a weight line. Same thing, we're gonna do this, taking clean sections, pulling this straight out as well. And you have a little point right there. And then the sides as well will be your last section. And depending on your guest hair density will depend on how large your sections are, how much you can hold in your hand. You may need to take smaller sections. Once we get that completely done, we're going to come up here around the front. And since I've already established her bang area, like I said again, just to kind of review this, we took a half moon shape out for her bang. And I'm going to pull this forward. And you're going to just kind of pinch that together. And then that was cut, point cut across, which you have a little piece of this side in there. So we point cut that across. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow the bangs to go kind of short to long. And then we're going to go into the side here. And so this is going to be our guide for the actual side framing. And I'm going to take a section here to right behind her ear. And we're going to push that out of the way. Once we get that pushed out of the way, I'm just going to re-wet my section. You want to make sure that you have even saturation throughout this haircut. This is going to actually keep the hair so that you can have an even haircut. If it's damp in some areas and dry in others, it's not going to allow you to have an even haircut. So we're going to take a little piece of this bang area here, and this is where we're going to start. And we're actually going to slide cut down. And I'm actually doing backhand on this side, and that's why I wanted to demonstrate on this side. So you're just going to slide all the way down, And I'm just gonna re-grab this piece right here just to kind of go over it again from the shortest point, making sure I didn't miss anything on that little piece that was kind of tucked behind. Alrighty, and we're gonna pull that down. And that's going to complete the Fernanda haircut by Takashi. So we're now gonna go ahead and go into our Seriously Smooth Blow Drying Style by Stephanie Kuchowski. So I'm gonna set down my tools. And with that, I'm going to cocktail together our Super Skinny Relaxing Balm and our Straight Works. Super Skinny Relaxing Balm is going to actually help the most rebellious locks be more manageable and shiny. It has our Super Skinny Complex in it, which is also going to displace water and constrict the hair so that it can speed up drying and styling time. It also has humidity agents in it, which is going to condition and soften the hair. This product is going to cut down on frizz, and it's also going to help soften and smooth the hair. The Straight Works is going to be the perfect balance of slip and hold. The Straight Works transforms any unruly and unmanageable hair. It has humectants and light conditioners, which is going to smooth and soften the hair, and this is going to leave the hair silky smooth. So let's go ahead and put a little bit of this in our hand, which I'm not going to use a lot since Colleen's already got half of her hair done. Just do a pump it, a little bit of each. I'm going to emulsify that in my hands, and starting about mid-shaft down, we'll apply that. And make sure you really get the ends where it's unruly. And Colleen does have kind of a curly hair texture. It is a little bit on the finer side, fine like wine. So let's go ahead and put that in there. We're now going to go ahead and use my Express Ion Dry Plus. This has our Express Ion complex, which is a blend of 32 volcanic minerals. It also has infrared heat, which is going to help dry the hair from the inside out, which is going to make the hair feel and look healthier. It also has 5 heat settings and also 5 speed settings. It actually lights up red when you turn it on when it's hot. It's also going to turn blue when you hit the cool shot button. It also has a 9-foot cord and a nice little hanging hook as well. So we're going to be using this to blow dry Colleen's hair. We're also going to be using our 413. And if you missed it this year, JP's birthday actually is 413. This has nylon ballpoint pins, and it also has an air cushion pad. This is great for wet and dry hair for detangling and for sculpting the hair. So we're going to be using these 2 things, and I'm going to go over our leafing and flat wrap technique for this. So let's go ahead and turn on our dryer. So now that I got it on, I have it about on medium speed. I'm going to start in the back of Colleen's hair, and I'm going to make sure that I have my nozzle on and I'm directing the hair down. This is going to give the maximum smooth, and I'm going to be doing our flat wrap technique, which is a back and forth motion. And this side's already dry, so I'm going to just be working this side mainly, going back and forth. Kind of just getting a lot of that moisture out to start. Taking this back and forth as well, following it. I call this the truck and tractor method, where you're kind of following your brush with the blow dryer. And then we're going to go ahead and do our leafing. When you're doing your leafing technique, you're going to scoop the hair and pull it through. And you're keeping this as tight as possible to the head to give it maximum smooth and straight. And you can already see how great these products are working and how fast. Our hair's about halfway dried already. So I'm going to continue with the leafing technique. Also kind of going with the flat wrap, following it behind. And if you need to, depending on your client's density of hair, you can also go ahead and use some of our Palmetto Pro clips. There are sectioning clips. You can tuck some hair out of the way if you need to. These are antimicrobial, using the leaping technique as well here. Keeping that hair as smooth as possible. And I'm just going to check over on this side to make sure that the water didn't kind of moisten anything, because we don't want our iron to damage any of that hair, because we know that you can't put a hot iron on wet hair. And let me go ahead and talk to you a little bit about our Palmetto Express Ion Smooth, which I'm going to be smoothing Colleen with. It heats up in 60 seconds to 400 degrees. It also has a 9-foot cord, and it's our #1 product. Our #1 flat iron, smoothing iron, I'm sorry. #1 selling. We also recently just released an upgrade, which is has a digital screen on it, which is pretty nice as well. I'm going to keep working this around. And Colleen has a little bit of a finer density of hair, so I don't need as many sections, but like I said, if your guest did have more, you could clip it out of the way if you need to. So we're going to get this 100% dry. You can see how well the products are working. Sweeping around her face here. And like I said again, your sections are going to kind of just depend on your guest density. So I'm just going to kind of work this over. One thing that I really enjoy doing as well is when you're getting close to having the hair completely dry, you can actually use your full shot button. And if you feel the hair being full in any areas, then you'll know that it's still wet. So I'm just going to kind of hit that with the full shot button, and you can see that the digital display is lighting up blue, so you know that you're using the full shot. I'm just going to go ahead and test that. Make sure there's no dampness left behind. A little bit still left up here in our bang area. Like I said, we don't want to put a hot tool to damp hair. I'm just going over this section I've already dried and flat ironed to make sure that there's not any moisture left from when I sprayed it. Alright. Now that Colleen's completely dry, I'm going to put my dryer away. I'm actually going to pull out the iron that I was just telling you about, the Express Ion Smooth. You can see the little setting here. It heats up to 400 degrees. The light's blinking red because it's hot. It has our ceramic plates, which is going to help give moisture to the hair and shine. So I'm going to actually take a heat protectant comb and one of my Pro Clips. And I'm going to start at the base of Colleen's hair. And I'm probably going to just go through and touch up a few areas where I've already maybe hit. Just checking over this section, making sure first to begin with. You want to take sections depending on your guest's hair. So depending on their density, the same as drying will depend on. And we're going to look at Colleen's part here in the front. Just going to part over to the side. And I'm going to clip this out of the way. And I'm going to actually start from the front. so that my guests can see. I like a lot of times to start in the front of the hair because it allows the guest to kind of visualize what the hair is going to look like in the end, and it makes them feel like their hair is already coming together. So I'm going to use the iron using small sections. And I'm going to do diagonal sections starting, and I'm going to keep it as close to the head as possible. And I do one pass. Depending on your guest hair, you may need to do 2 passes, or maybe take the iron a little slower. And depending on your guest will depend on your heat setting. That's your own professional opinion here. And I'm taking diagonal sections, making sure I'm starting up, and I'm keeping that hair down for this maximum smoothness and for it to be nice and straight. We aren't trying to create any volume here. So once we get through this area, pull that through. I did that very back section already on the bottom. I touched up the 2 together, pulling this through. And you can just see the shine from the product. So taking diagonal sections, making sure that you're, like I said, keeping the iron as closest to the head as possible, and making sure, depending on your guest, that it's not too thick of sections. And I kind of like to take this area kind of back and down. Just going to hit that little end one more time. We're coming up around her fringe and framing area. I'm just going to kind of pull this a little more forward because that's where I want it to live, and just give her a slight bend on the ends. And depending on your guest, depending on what they desire, will be depending on how you're going to hold your iron, whether you're going to create volume or not with it. With the Seriously Smooth, we're trying to tame the hair, make it as smooth as possible. Just going to brush this back and out of the way. Kind of get these bangs. Just going to bend that under. This is really coming along for Colleen here. And I'm just going to go to the other side and just kind of check this side as well for Colleen and make sure that it's laying as smooth as we'd like it, that the water didn't. And even with spraying some of that water on her hair, you can see this side still so smooth from the Super Skinny Relaxing Balm and also the Straight Works. So now that we have this completed here, and we have the framing done, I'm just going to turn around and show you. It turned out really nice here, very smooth, nice and straight. So I'm just going to kind of go over what we did today. Today we went over the Fernanda haircut. It's a salon-friendly haircut. It's concave layerings. We also went over the Paul Mitchell products and tools to achieve this look. We went over the Seriously Smooth, how to blow dry properly, making sure that we're doing our wrapping and leafing technique. We also discussed how these products are going to help you, how great they are, and they reduce the drying time and the styling time. And I just want to kind of leave you with that, try this, give this a chance, and you know, whether it's the haircut or the style, I just want you to be able to take this back and feel like you're getting something and you're reducing your time. And I want you to send me a picture on my Instagram My Instagram's Kaylee Jean, and just send me a picture, and maybe if it cut down on your time or if you're able to get more clients in your chair. And I just want to leave you with this little quote that we only regret the chances we didn't take. Thank you. My name's Kaylee Kimball from John Paul Mitchell Systems and BSG.